Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode 258 of the Michael Lab Show. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Tuesday. I hope everyone's having a good day out there. I think it's June 1st, almost. Pretty close. If not, tomorrow is June 1st. It was a solid spring. It was an amazing spring. I mean, I think this is officially a half a year I've lived here, pretty much, and my life has completely changed for the better. I got a bunch of stuff going on right now. Working on a couple things with my girlfriend. You know, life is good, man. Life is good. 2022 has been a wild year. You know, it's been a year where the pandemic has ended. It's over. It's done. Fuck everybody. It's been a year where a lot of it's been an odd year, right? There's a bunch of things I want to get into today, just like every episode. I'm gonna pull my notes real quick, just so I have it, just in case, because I might go on a few tangents here on this episode. One thing before I do really get into the podcast, I want to I feel like I'm addressing this every single episode, but that's because every single episode is doing better and better and better and better. Like, I went from way back 2 years ago now, up to this point when I first started this podcast, I was doing, honestly, guys, like listen closely. For the first 6 months of the podcast, I was doing, each podcast was probably getting 10 downloads. Maybe 10 downloads, and I'm about 90% of my my downloads and my views come from Spotify and Apple, Google Podcast, and Amazon Music, and then the other 10% come from YouTube. I'm not a YouTube specialist, even though I've been using YouTube since I've been like 12 years old. I mean, I've been on YouTube for 10 plus years. Call of Duty, vlogs, fitness vlogs, everything. And I'm not an expert with it in terms of like the algorithm. I'm not good at like breaking the algorithm and figuring all that stuff out. And I don't have a team or anything. It's just me, myself, and I, G-Easy. So, I'm doing the best I can. But natural growth is a lot easier to get off of Spotify and Amazon and Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and it's much easier for it to grow there because people listen to podcasts there. I mean, I don't even listen to podcasts on YouTube anymore. I stopped doing that when I started door dashing. Once I started dashing, I listen to everything on Spotify because I like to visually watch podcasts, but I can't do that obviously when I'm driving. So like the first 6 months, I was getting 10 to 20 downloads an episode. I was probably getting maybe 150 downloads a month. And 3 years later, I'm getting thousands and thousands of downloads a month. And it's been a wild, wild ride. It's been a bumpy road, but it's been incredible. I've been able to learn so much about myself. I've been able to take things that are happening in the world and kind of get my true opinion on them by talking them out in front of thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. And it's been interesting. It's been a therapy session. I mean, honestly, like it should be called the Michael Labs therapy session because that's what it's been. I've been able, it's crazy when I think about this podcast. I did this thing. I mean, I was doing this before the pandemic. 2019, June of 2019 is when I started the podcast, and that's kind of why I'm talking about it right now. And because we're coming up on 3 years, and I started at 22 years old. I'm 25 now, and I started it pre-pandemic, and I was able to give like my thoughts about the pandemic the entire time. Not just that, but like the presidential election going into 2020 with Donald Trump. I mean, all of my interest, books I've read, theories I've listened to, just kind of me as an individual, the growth of me as a person, the person that you're listening to right now through your headphones. I've been able to just kind of grow, and it's kind of a mind fuck, honestly. Like I think about it and it's not normal. Like it's not a normal thing. I'm not a normal person. I mean, what I'm doing is weird. It's almost borderline narcissistic to just sit on a mic and talk all day, but I do it. I initially did it for therapy, but now I'm at the point where I do it because people listen, and I feel like a need to kind of talk every week because people listen. And I know for me, as someone who listens to a podcast, I would be upset if like Theo Von just stopped posting podcasts. I would be upset if like Joe Rogan just stopped uploading. I would be upset if like, Whitney Cummings stopped uploading podcasts, or, anybody, Chris D'Elia, any of these guys that I listen to. I would be upset if they just kind of stopped posting, and Lex Friedman. So I feel an obligation to get on a mic once a week now for roughly an hour and just speak to you beautiful humans, because that's what I expect from people that I listen to. So that's what I'm doing now. And I don't know. It's just been, ever since I moved here, my life has kind of just, it was here. I'm going to get into, some touchy subjects here in this podcast, but I want to take like the first half of this podcast to really just kind of give you guys like a Tony Robbins speech, because I know I've had conversations with a lot of friends of mine and a lot of, acquaintances and people I've met. I haven't known like that long. And, I get people open up to me for whatever reason. And I like to think it's because I don't judge people. I really don't. I'm somewhat, I like to believe that I interact with the world with open arms. And I mean that in every single sense of the word. I'm not quick to judge somebody on their thoughts or their beliefs or the way that they view something, because I don't know. I'm only me. I'm not them. So I don't know how I can take a stance on something if it's judging another human, if I'm not that person. And it's so cheesy. It's like this idea that, walk in someone else's shoes, and that's that. And it's with every single thing. It's with every single thing. I think about things that are going on in this modern world that we live in. I think about this events that are taking place in, western part of China with the Uyghur Muslims, and they're in concentration camps. And I'm like, damn, fuck, why are they doing that? And I'm sure they have their reasons, and it's horrible reasons, absolutely disgusting reasons to throw people in concentration camps. But like, I'm still willing to listen why. But that doesn't mean I don't completely disagree with them. And that doesn't mean if I had the ability to stop it, I wouldn't stop it. I would stop it. I would put an end to that. And there's an irony there, because then they would put an end to me. So then you would see a battle take place. And like, this is the concept of, there's people out there who truly want peace, world peace. And I'm right there with you. Like, I love this idea that we can have world peace. I love this notion that we can all hug each other, we can all kiss each other, and we can all be a well-functioning utopia. But that doesn't exist. And it doesn't just exist, it will never exist as long as humans are alive. Because if you look at it, I mean, we have this weird tendency as Homo sapiens to think that since we have a consciousness, since we have the ability to think, the word I, we have this ability to contemplate I am here. I am doing a podcast. I will be there. A lot of it, I think that's what a consciousness is. To recognize that you are here at this moment, and to recognize that you won't be here in this moment forever. I could say I'm not going to be here in the podcast in, an hour. I won't be here. I'll be editing this episode. I have also the ability to say I won't be here in 100 years, most likely. I will be gone. I would be nothing. My being, my brain, my body is gone. So as long as people can recognize there's going to be a constant battle to get on top of somebody else, to be better than somebody else, because that's human nature, and that's the dark side of humanity. And that's the side of humanity that people, I don't know if they refuse to recognize, but I think they're scared to accept that is the reality. because that is the reality. Like, the reality is Adolf Hitler is not the only Adolf Hitler. There was a Joseph Stalin. There was that guy in China, Mao Zedong, Mussolini, Catherine the Great, hilarious name, by the way, the Mongolia guy, Genghis Khan. There's thousands and thousands of these people that just slaughter everybody else. And that's always going to be a human nature thing, and I don't see that ever going away. And that's scary. That's a scary concept to accept. That's a scary concept to recognize that's inside of all of us. Like, we all have this ability to, like, kill somebody. We all have this ability to be evil. And thank God, the majority of us, sapiens that walk this planet don't ever see that side of ourselves. We might get, like, rumblings here and there. There might be bubbles here and there of, like, someone, like, cuts you off and, like, maybe you have your kid in a car. Yeah, you might want to kill that person. But thank God it goes away. Thank God it doesn't sustain. But there's people out here that doesn't go away. There's people out here who, it's not that that hatred just doesn't go away, but they literally have a person in their mind telling them to commit atrocities. Like, schizophrenia is a real thing, and it's terrifying to me. It's terrifying to think that at a switch of the moment that the person that I think I am could change, and the person that I see myself as is only the person who I am right now, and that could change forever. And that's something that I think it's good to recognize, and I think it's good to constantly remind yourself that, hey man, you are no different than, like, biologically, genetically different, but you are no different than some of the most evil people who've ever lived. You just live a life. You're brought up in a world at a time from parents in an area where those evil tendencies weren't ignited. And I think if every single one of us can recognize that the hatred that we have doesn't exist, but the hatred that other people have does exist, I think that world could be a little bit more bearable at times, because it's not at times. It is bearable if you get off of social media. And I wish I didn't have to be on social media. I was off of it while I was studying for my my test, my Series 7 for FINRA, through the FCC. I was off of it for that, but I just, doing my podcast, I need social media. It's part of the brand. It's what I do. I built things on social media. It's a brilliant thing, but the issue with social media is it doesn't allow for nuance, and it doesn't allow for communications that lead to conversation. It only allows for the type of communication that leads to arguments. Like, you remember being in high school where, excuse me, you remember being in high school and you would hear people just yell and like, hey, fuck you. Hey, like, you're a bitch. And it would be like two more phrases back and forth with each other that were very mediocre, not complex, not like, hey man, I completely disagree with what you did with my ex-girlfriend. I think that was, I think you broke bro code. I think, hey man, you should have talked to me before you went ahead and slept with my ex-girlfriend. Instead of that, and then having a conversation about it, it's, hey, fuck you, dude. And then the other person's like, they recognize what happened, but they immediately get upset because you're dealing with a guy here who has ego. I mean, think about every war that's ever taken place is out of a man's ego, which is a terrifying thought. The dichotomy of that is everything that we do nowadays is because of men. Men have built this world. But at the same damn time, men have created this world with a fucking woman in the corner. And that's something that is, I'm going to get into that here in a second. But so you have these two men and they're in a hallway and then people cheer them on and then they fight. They skip the whole communication part. There is an issue. They recognize the issue. Instead of conversing with each other, they choose violence because violence gets you that anger out quicker. There's a resolution, right? There's a resolution verbally, but you don't want that resolution because that resolution takes time. What you want to do is get that resolution as quick as possible. So you punch someone in the face, you knock them out, they can't fight back, you win, you have the thumbs up. But if you've ever been in a fight, I have not been in a fight, but if you have been in a fight, people say you get like depressed afterwards. You're sad. Like damn, I shouldn't have beat that person up. But back on the woman thing, I think this is very, very important for people to recognize. Like, I'm gonna get a sip of water before I get into this because this might infuriate a lot of people. And in Roanoke Thursday and Friday, that's a perfect week for my girl. I fucking love my girlfriend, dude. And this is what I want to talk about. I want to get into that shooting that took place in Texas too. What else do I want to get into? It's on my notes section. I want to get into that. I also want to get in this documentary that I saw on Netflix. But, there's this, and then I might get into Ricky Gervais in this podcast I listened to. There is this, and this is from a man's perspective, so take what you want with that. I don't think it means anything. I think men should be allowed to talk about women issues. I do. It's a little contradicting what I said about the abortion thing, but I do I give my opinion about everything. I'm a fucking human being before I'm a man. I'm a human being. I'm gonna give my opinion on things, and that's it is what it is. So I am for this concept. I'm not even for because it sounds dirty, but I think women should be treated the same way that men should be treated. Now, here's a caveat to that. I think, from a man's perspective, the most incredible, powerful women I've ever met are with some of the most powerful men in the world. And I don't mean like money wise. I mean like I meet couples where the woman, you can tell that guy can only do what he does because of that woman. And that woman keeps that motherfucker in line. And I think that is a thing that's escaping from this woman's movement for empowerment. I think one of the most empowering things for a woman to hear is not you can create a Fortune 500 company, is not, girl boss, is not all this, all these things that they try to be equivalent to a man. But you don't hear men trying to do that for women things. Like, that sounded really fucked up. I'm treading lightly now. Don't hate me. I love women. This is very dangerous what I'm doing. But I'm going to do it anyways because I've already pissed off half my listeners. Oh my God. So a lot of women do listen to my podcast, which is wild to think about. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of men in hospitality positions. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of men in nursing homes. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of men, as nurses. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of men in the business of like childcare. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of women in the business of being a lawyer. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of women in the business of being mathematicians and engineers. And we could talk about why that is. But basically what I'm trying to say here is I know from my perspective, the thing that makes women to me so fucking powerful, and the reason why I think that they are more powerful than I could ever be, first of all, because they bust out a 10-pound bowling ball straight from their fucking lower body, just popping out of there, which is wild. They fucking squirt out blood like like someone who got stabbed in the artery once a month. But in addition to that, they got to deal with other women. No, I'm just kidding. No, but also because they have to deal with us. They have to deal with us. And I'm telling you right now, for any guy that's out there, if you ever think that whatever's happening for you is so difficult, if you're in a relationship with a woman if you're in a relationship with another dude, your partner is twice as strong as you are in your darkest times because they have to put up with that. They got to deal with that. And they got to act like it's not fucking putting them down and driving them into the grave. I know for me, when I'm in a shitty mood, when I'm not doing well and I'm sad and I'm depressed, I have a partner that has to put up with that has to deal with that. And even if they don't want to, they date me, right? They're with me, so it comes with the territory in the same way. And I'm not complaining. What I'm saying here is, for dudes out there, recognize that your woman is twice as strong as you, and she runs the world. We build the world. Well, we couldn't do it with someone in our corner like that. And that sounds like some fucking 1950s shit. Get in the fucking kitchen. But by the way, I completely disagree with that. I don't want a woman in the kitchen. I do not want my woman in the kitchen. No way. I want to make all the food. I want to do all the laundry. I want to clean the house. I want to vacuum the house. I want to make the bed. I want everything to be as beautiful as a woman does it. No, it's just, that's just dumb to me. Like, I don't know. It's a tit for tat relationship. And I think, I don't know what I think. I do know that just went off the rails. I just went off the rails, right? That went off the rails? I feel like that went off the rails. Maybe not. Hopefully you guys understood what I meant. I'm not saying women are less than. Never said that. But equality doesn't exist in anything, ever. In terms of, like, jobs, you know, women are not equal in terms of strength. You know, men are not equal in terms of sensitivity, pain tolerance. Even redheads have more pain tolerance than white people. Like, they have more tolerance than, like, African Americans, Middle Eastern people. Redhead Irish people have the most pain tolerance. Look, I swear to God, why do redheads have no soul? There you go. No soul. Why do they have no soul? Kiss a Ginger Day. That's so awesome. Okay. Where does the saying gingers have no soul come from? Here we go. Discrimination against redhead and freckled people traces at least back to the Middle Ages in Europe, and probably much farther. Listen here, redheads. This is about you. This little clip about the good old redheads out there. I love redheads. They're good people. Much like in the case of regular old racism. So the question is, stop it. Finish. We're done. Oh my God. I got 1 second, guys. Sorry. Okay. Fuck. Okay. So where did the mean truth about people with red hair not having souls? Okay. So much like in the case of regular old racism, ignorant people will be surprisingly creative at making up reasons to mistrust and abuse people who look different. That's a funny way to say it. They're just assholes. Okay. The show uses, so the specific case in the question. Okay. Though the gingers have no souls myth originated with the popular show South Park. Talk about a show that has just jumped over every, like, canceling. Like, how are they still out there? Fucking South Park, bro. That show is wild. The one black guy in the show, they name him Token. What? You can't do that. They literally split the face in half of Canadians. You can't do that. That was racist, and it was against a nation. It was anti-nationalist. The show uses one of its main characters, a cunning, manipulative, sociopathic fat kid. That's what it says. Named Eric Cartman, to demonstrate a point about racists and xenophobics, or people who hate in general. Cartman hates quote-unquote gingers. So he convinces the rest of the school kids that gingers have no souls. and should thus be feared. Using fear to manipulate people in Cartman's specialty is his specialty, and he does it all the time. So it's no surprise that many of the other kids believe him, except for the three other main characters who are wise to Cartman's shenanigans. Ginger kids are now feared and ostracized at South Park Elementary School. In order to teach Cartman a lesson, the three other boys sneak into his house late at night while he is sleeping. They dye his hair red and paint freckles on him. When he wakes up, he freaks out, and his mom takes him to the doctor, who explains that Cartman must have caught the rare disease, gingivitis. Oh, it's terrible, dude. Oh, so funny. I should explain. The doctor in South Park is another running joke. He's consistently clueless to the boys' mischief and always ends up applying some absurd misdiagnosis that only exacerbates the problem. Comedy is if there's a god, comedy was sent from his ballsack. This is also true of almost every adult who appears in any episode. The four main characters, schoolboys Stan, Kyle, Kenny, and Cartman, are the only ones who ever have a clue. And one of them is diabolically evil. All the adults on the show, including the boys' parents, are incredibly stupid, with very few exceptions. They are often called on to solve the problems when the boys' antics get out of hand, and their solutions just make everything 1,000 times worse. This is one of the central conceits of the show, which helps make it so hilarious. How long is this? Oh, it's not too bad. I'll read it. Moving on. The prank does not work as intended. Now that Cartman believes that he too is a ginger, he refuses to be a minority. Using his manipulative prowess, he rallies the gingers around a central cause: get rid of the normal people. He rents a room at the convention center, and another clueless adult helps him acquire several cages in a pit full of lava, where he threatens to murder all the rest of the boys and start the Ginger Uprising. It seems to be working until one of the boys spills the beans that he's not really a ginger, and the ginger's kids turn on him. Of course, now is when Cartman starts to preach about togetherness and understanding. He tries He even tries to learn the red-haired kids in a song about peace and harmony, claiming that he, quote, just realized that prejudice is wrong, and we shouldn't hate people because of the way they look. It's a classical and hilarious episode, and it makes a good point about prejudice, that the people who engage in it passively are usually manipulated by someone else's agenda. And this is important. And the people with the hateful agenda care more about power than they do about race or appearance. That's actually brilliant. Cartman, upon finding out that he now was a minority too, flipped the script and used people he was persecuting just hours before to persecute somebody else. Wild. That's actually pretty fascinating because that's the reality of the world. Next paragraph. This is a parallel to real life, in that people with a hateful agenda will always have a hateful agenda. We all know that prejudiced and fearful people are easy to manipulate, but so are the oppressed. Clever but vicious people can and do realize this, and they can just as easily use the oppressed, disenfranchised, or downtrodden for their own ends. Anyway, I answered because I love the show and the episode. I wouldn't worry too much about people saying gingers have no souls. It was originally intended as a joke. The only people I've ever heard of using this in real life are little kids who probably have no idea where it came from. Kids can be unbelievably cruel to each other. I also used to say the F word as a child and retard. So I don't use those words anymore. I use retard a little bit more than I used to, which I should probably not do anymore. Nobody worth having their weight in pig shit actually believes that redhead people have no souls. I can't imagine that any person over the age of 12 could possibly be that stupid. No, that I was dumb enough to realize that. I'm also a dumb kid, though. Well, people do still occasionally surprise me. If you're getting harassed or bullied because of your hair color, try as hard as you can to laugh it off. I know that might be easier said than done, but know that it does get better. It will stop eventually. And you can always take a cue from South Park If somebody makes fun of you, say, suck my balls, fat ass. That's why they don't have souls. But why do redheads have a higher, there we go, pain tolerance? Research has produced evidence that redheads are less sensitive to seeing pain in the skin. This was shown in tests where capsaicin, the active substance in chili, was injected in the skin to produce pain. Our tests show that redheads are less sensitive to a particular type of pain. Why are redheads alcoholics? Do redheads drink more? Color psychologists say red provokes arousal more than any other color. That's an indicator of youth and fertility. Thus, it makes sense to align redheads with sex. People are also tend to be attracted to things that are rare, which also could increase redheads' allure. What problems do redheads have? Especially female redheads are known to suffer higher pain sensitivity, and higher incidence of some disorders, including skin cancer, Parkinson's disease, and endocrine. Okay, I digress. Okay, I want to get into. I don't know if I want to. Such a touchy subject. All right, fuck it. Let me get comfortable. Sit on my leg, have it go numb, and I'm gonna give this my best shot. And I'm recording this podcast pretty much a week before it comes out. So I'm recording this podcast on May 26th. It is coming out May 31st. So 5 days before the podcast came out, and the shooting at Uvalde, I think it was, Uvalde, Texas, took place on May 24th. Okay. So, with that being said, I am speaking on it with all the information that I have, which is not all the information that's come out because I'm about 6 weeks behind. But with that being said, I'm going to give my thoughts on it. And that day it took place, May 24th, I couldn't sleep that night, and I said this before. I feel like I'm a broken record because I talked about this on about the Buffalo shooting, which seems like it was forever ago. But I couldn't sleep that night. And I broke down on the 25th in the car going to get face cream with Taylor at lunch. I just started crying. I was bawling. I was weeping. I was I'm talking like I was in a Kroger parking lot, and I said, Taylor, I'm not dealing with this well. And I just started crying. And I started crying for many reasons. I'm 25 years old now. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm 25 years old now. My body is at the age now where I think biologically it has a kid. And I sound crazy saying that, but I think that's part of what's happening to me. Where my body feels like it should be raising a child. I don't want a child right now. I don't want one. Not going to have one. I may adopt. Fuck it. Whatever. But anyways. So I have that going on. And I'm maturing. Things to me seem so much more real now since I moved. Because that's a step in reality, I think. Moving out of your parents' house is a step in reality. And I have a relationship with Taylor, which is going to be a marriage. And so I have things now that are mine. I have a life that's mine. And I don't want my life taken away from me. And I'm also at the age now where I feel like I should have children. My brain, my body, I feel like my body has that feeling, but I don't personally want, like, my decision is I don't want one, but my body's like, hey, have a child. I think that has, that's like when women get on the period, like they feel like they want a child, or where they get like, baby blues when they pick up a child and they're like, oh, I want a kid. Their body's screaming at them, hey, have a kid, but your life choice is I don't want one. So I see the shooting take place. I obviously didn't watch it. And I immediately thought about the parents. I think as of right now, it's 19 kids. I immediately think about 38 moms and dads. Or moms and dads and dads. Not here to judge. But it's Texas. It's Texas. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's Texas. It's right. Moms and dads. Okay. So, my coping mechanisms. I make light of things. I laugh at fucking horrible shit. Because don't know how to process it. Maybe I'm emotionally stunted in that aspect, but that's how I process things. So I see the shooting. I see pop up. I tell Taylor, she's like, fuck. But I'm not like, fuck. I'm like, I'm pissed. I'm mad. And I'm sad and I'm brokenhearted. It's just Thursday was the last day of school for these kids. And these parents send their kids off to school, and in every scenario is they get to get their kids, pick them up, come home, and have dinner with them and talk to them about the day and tell them how Thursday is the last day of school and you made it through first grade or you made it through second grade, and I'm so excited for you and you're amazing and dad and mom love you. Said I wouldn't cry. Oh, I'm not a pussy. I won't cry. Mom and dad love you, and we're here for you, buddy. We love you. And they never came home. They did, just in little tiny boxes. And the first image I had in my head, and this is graphic, so if you guys don't want to listen to it, don't listen to this part, but this is the reality. This is what was in my head. And this is probably what kept me up. I thought about a child getting shot and not dying immediately. And I just think about that. Just a child. Oh, fuck. I don't even know if I want to say it. A child just laying in its own blood and screaming out for its mom, and mom's not there. Fuck, dude. And mom's not there, and the child dies, and I pray those kids just all got shot right through the head, and they didn't have to deal with that. I hope they all just died. Like that. That was my first thought, and it popped in my head like a fucking parasite. I did not want it there. Trust me, guys. I did not want to sit there on Tuesday night thinking about children laying in their own blood, screaming for mom. And yeah, that's what I thought. And as the numbers are piling up and information starts coming out, and there's this tiny period in every tragedy that ever happens. 9/11, Sandy Hook, this shooting, COVID, where we have this magical capability as a country, as people, to get together and mourn. But just as quickly as we have that feeling, it's fleeting and it's gone. And immediately, a minute 5 minutes after the shooting, you get on Twitter and people are screaming about the Second Amendment and about assault rifles and about this isn't a mental illness issue. Fuck the Republicans. The Republicans enable this. Fox News is the cause of this. And immediately, that's where I got enraged. This has nothing to do with Second Amendments. What I'm about to say right now. I get so, listen to me. I get so fucking mad about that because there are 19 dead kids right there. There's 19 set of parents, 19 moms, 19 dads that are looking at this situation. Their kids are dead and they're not coming home. They're not fucking coming home. They're not going to have grandkids. They're dead. And you're going to use these little kids' lives to leverage your fucking agenda. Think about the person that you are. Think about the person you are. When you're going to use a school shooting to try to push your fucking agenda, think about that for a second. And I'm not saying that assault rifles shouldn't be banned. I'm not saying that some 18-year-old kid should just go be able to buy a gun. That's a completely different story. But my God, who's more evil? People leveraging these dead children for their political agendas? Think about the type of person you got to be. Think about that type of person you have to be. The worst. I think that is the worst kind of person there is. Where you're looking for events to try to push your fucking message to the world. Get the fuck out of here with that. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. There is a time for that, and it is not on the same day where there is grieving parents and there's the trauma. Think about the trauma. It's gone. Those kids, all those kids in that school are done for. They're not going to get over that. They're not going to get over their little friends screaming for mom while they're trying to get across the floor, crawling in their own blood. They're not going to get over that. Hearing gunshots going off. 8 to 12-year-old brains listening to that. And immediately, as a country, as Americans, we immediately start talking about our fucking agendas. Get out of here. That is embarrassing. I don't want to hear any of that shit. Not on the same day. Let's wait a few days. Let's give it time to breathe. Let's let people mourn. Let's let these families not be leveraged to push your fucking social agendas. Let's not use these kids' lives to make statements like the GOP, the NRA, and all Republicans are fucking evil. How dare you? How dare you as a human being? There's evil. There's a kid that goes in there and shoots all those people and kills them all. And then there's evil where you use that person, you use those kids as a fucking billboard for your fucking agenda. Those are two separate kinds of evil, and you can separate those. And you're just as evil as him. That's embarrassing. Now that we got that out of the way, give it a few. You gotta give it a few days. No one's talked about the cop who shot and killed that guy. No one talked. I don't even know his name. I just put up a post on my Instagram story. Who shot and killed the Texas school shooter? Let me look this up real quick. Border Patrol agent. There you go. The Border Patrol agent who killed Texas school shooter was from agency's lead team. The officers who confronted Salvador Ramos belonged to Bortic, a highly trained squad who are among contingent of border agents who work in Uvalde. I can't pull up his name here. But that's the shit that we don't talk about. That person probably has a family too. He went in there and shot and murdered and took out this guy. And this guy shot and killed 19 kids. I understand, but guess you still shot and killed a kid. That has to live on your mind. So now that we said that, like that's my thing that drives me the most insane about these issues, is we want attention. So we use these things, these events, while they're still picking the kids up off the fucking school floor, and you guys are screaming about political parties and about Joe Biden and about Donald Trump and about assault rifles and about Republican states and Democratic states and about Governor Abbott and about Beto O'Rourke. We're screaming. We're taught as children to not act off of emotions. When things are at an all-time high, you do not act. Because you say and do things that are retarded. And that's what happens after all these things. People say retarded things. Now, I'm going to give you my thought on this. This is my honest opinion. And this is going to piss off a lot of Second Amendment people. And I am a Second Amendment motherfucker. I am. You know what the shooting made me want to get? A fucking gun. And I'm not the only one out there. I was talking to Taylor yesterday. I told her, I said, I think the dumbest thing that I'm doing right now in my life is I don't have a weapon on me. I swear to God. I'm going to get a gun. I'm going to get licensed. I'm going to learn how to shoot a handgun. Because there's two options here. I never run into someone who wants to take my life, or I do. And if I don't, God bless. If I do, there's only two options there. I get shot and killed, or I protect myself and kill the other person. And I don't want the first option. I want a fighting chance. And I live in a state where you can carry a weapon. So guess what I'm going to start doing? Most likely, I'm going to carry a fucking weapon. Because that shit is unacceptable. That's terrifying to me. I have people in my life that I love, and I can't sleep. I don't know how people do it. I can't imagine having a kid. I don't know how you parents. I have a girlfriend who I'm gonna marry, and I can't even. Dude, I get so nervous about everything. I get nervous about my parents. I get nervous about my sister. I get nervous about her. Fuck, dude. Like, I don't know how you people have kids out there. Jesus Christ, I have a kid. I'm gonna get a fucking 18-year-old. So I don't have to worry about SIDS. Sudden infant death syndrome. It's fucking horrible. I shouldn't be laughing, but I cried, so we gotta fucking laugh too. I gotta take a shit, so I might have to end this podcast. I almost thought I shit myself earlier door dashing. Do you guys? I get like that all the time, but sometimes I feel like I'm gonna shit myself, and I gotta go check. But this is what I want to say. This is the point I'm trying to get to. There is no reason why we should be selling assault rifles. That's it. That's it. I think people should have guns. I think you should have a right to bear arms. I think everyone should have a gun if you're in mental capacity. And I think the background check should be much better. I think smoking cigarettes is 21. I think maybe that should be bumped up to 21. And I understand if you go in the military, you can be 18, but that's different. If you're 18, you're going in the military, carry your weapon. That's awesome. But maybe it should be 21. And the background check should be extremely, extremely stringent. I mean, I know I'm in Virginia now, and I'm like in Virginia. Like Virginians around here, they don't consider it Novo, Northern Virginia. They go like, if you tell somebody, if you come down here from Novo and you say, hey, I'm from Virginia too, they say, where are you from? You say Alexandria. They look at you like, yeah, you're not from Virginia. Like I'm in the South. Like there's plenty. I see probably 3 or 4 Confederate flags a day here, and that shit is fucking disturbing. Fucking don't even get me started with that shit. I hate seeing that shit. Fuck, 1 second. But yeah, you should have a right to carry a weapon. I believe that. I do. If you could pass the test, I think you should have to take like a semi-annual test you should twice a year, you should go to a doctor and they need to test you for mental illness. They need to put you through a background check. They need to see if you've been arrested. They need to see, can you still shoot? They need to do everything. And anything possible. Have you been depressed? What type of medication you on? They should do this twice a year for everybody who owns a weapon, everybody who wants a weapon. And there should be no sale. They shouldn't be selling assault rifles. And I get it. Like, they're still going to sell weapons. Like, and that's kind of also my, we said no one should do drugs, but we enable drug use. Drugs are illegal, but people take drugs all the time and die. So riddle me that. So if we make assault rifles illegal, they're not going to go away. Like, I'm not dumb. I realize that. Like, if you try to cancel anything, it comes back stronger. That's just what it does. And it's like, people say, like, this is not a mental health issue. Like, I saw that too. Like, people like, we can't constantly always blame this on mental health. We got to talk about the guns. It's like, no, you motherfuckers. It's mental health. This kid went and shot his grandma dead and then went and blew all the fucking heads off of a bunch of elementary school kids. That is mental health. That is mental health. We just got out of lockdown where you put people inside of buildings for 2 years straight and they couldn't see other humans. They couldn't get the medication. They couldn't talk to other humans, and they're mentally unstable. And they're on social media every single day, and they see dark things every single day. They're desensitized. They have schizophrenia. They're on prescriptions that if they run out of because the healthcare system is garbage, they can't take it anymore, and they fucking flip. Let's not act like this isn't a mental health issue. That has a lot to do with mental health. Someone in the right mental state doesn't go take the heads off a bunch of fucking elementary school kids. Like, let's not act like this is all the assault rifles. Like, fuck, ow, that hurt. I say, like, yeah, we shouldn't be selling assault rifles, but guess what I also say? We shouldn't be denying mental health issues. What? I saw that, like, that pissed me off. That shit makes me mad. That makes me mad. That shit makes me mad. But, overall, man, like, that's so sad, And clearly this isn't this is not just an isolated issue under Donald Trump's administration. Like, I also think there needs to be a point where we start looking at the correlation between social media, access of internet access to the internet freely among everybody, access to iPhones from a young age, and the growth of shootings, mass shootings. And what we really need to do, and I listen to people on this all the time, and I think this is something that's I'm going to tread lightly here, but I think what ends up happening a lot of times with these shootings, because they're always men, and they're always men that if you look at them, they're physically not attractive, they're probably not the smartest men around, they're probably outcasts from society. They probably were brought up in a very violent house, a very racist house. They're probably brought up to hate other races, black, Mexican, whatever, other cultures. And they don't have anything going for them. Nothing going for them. And they probably never had attention from the opposite sex. And I'm not blaming women on this, but what I'm saying is what ends up happening is you get these incels, these people who have no attention. No one has even hugged them. They've only been beaten their entire life. They've only been bullied by their parents. And their whole life has revolved around the need to be recognized, but no one has seen them. I mean, think about yourself as a person. Don't take this as me saying, I'm not justifying any behavior. Killing kids is never a good thing. Like, I shouldn't even have to give that warning out there, but that's something that you have to look at that. Like, there's studies with monkeys where there's this famous study where you take a baby monkey and you have two moms. One's a fake mom. It has food and water, but it has no fur. It's all metal, but it's food and water. Then you have another monkey. It's furry. It feels like a regular mom, but it has no food and water. The baby goes with the mom with no food and water because it's that touch. It's that touch, that tender love and care that the mom can provide. And think about that. Think about that. There's a lot of people out there that don't have that. And then you combine that with genetic dispositions for schizophrenia or depression or anxiety, And then you combine that with parents that just beat your ass every day and tell you that you're worthless and tell you that that group of people are less than you. And then you combine that with access to weapons. Like, do you see that? It's not just the assault rifle. It's a combination of things. Then you combine that with like this hatred and divide that we have in a country. And then you combine that with the magnifying that it has on social media. It's a complex issue. And these shootings take place in these spews of people. Ted Cruz. Look at what Ted Cruz had to say. Look at Beto O'Rourke going up to. He's going up to the Texas governor. He's showing them who's boss. What happens when there's a school shooting under his care? Because there will be. And if you don't think that's true, then you don't know history. Because if he wins governor of whenever, he kicks Abbott out and he becomes a openly gay Democratic candidate and wins governor, what happens when there's a shooting under his protection? Because I can tell you this right now. After that shooting took place, there is 10 more kids across the country who are planning to shoot up a school. I can tell you that right now. And it's not because there's a Republican governor. That has nothing to do with it. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do if, I mean, what did you do in Colorado? What did you do in New York? New York has a Democratic governor. It's Buffalo. It's hard to get a weapon in New York. Colorado, Democratic governor. Stop acting like this is a political issue. There's a mental health crisis happening right now in this country. And I think social media has a lot to do with it. And I think it gets to a point where it's a national emergency. It's a national health crisis, not weapons. No. No, you're missing the point. That social media can be. And I think it is. But I'm also not saying that assault rifles should be given out to every fucking kid's birthday. And I don't think any 18-year-old kid should just go into a gun shop and get a weapon. That's absolutely absurd. That's irresponsible. But I can tell you right now, the gun shops that I see are not gun shops where I go like, they're checking their background checks. Like there's no way. There's a place down here. I'm not going to say its name. They might fucking shoot me. But they're not out there checking for people's credentials. I can guarantee that. They don't care about any of that. They just want that money. But I think that's important. We really got to start finding common ground here because, it's not because the state has open access to weapons. It's just not, it was never that way. We do this with everything. We always say blah because of this, because of that. And then people look at Chicago, and Chicago has all the murders. Baltimore has all the murders. Both of those are Democratic cities. Both of those are Democratic mayors. I'm not saying it's because of Democrats in office. I'm not saying that at all. I never said that. But weapons are hard to get there, but people still end up dying. Like, let's not be stupid here. Come on. Dumb motherfuckers. I got 2 minutes. I didn't cover, there's this documentary. I'll probably just finish off with this. Oh, my knee's completely asleep. There's this documentary on Netflix. By the way, Peaky Blinders. I don't know if you guys watch Peaky Blinders, but it might be like my favorite show of all time. It's incredible. Go ahead and watch it. It's on Netflix. I think there's 6 seasons. I'm like 4.5 seasons in. It's incredible. That Cillian Murphy's. It's such a good show that I get pissed off that he's an actor, because I don't want him to play another role. Like, I don't know if I could watch him anything else because he's so good in that role. He's so good in that role. He walks like this though, which is kind of annoying. He's a short little guy. He's like 5'7". That's kind of frustrating because short people suck. Just kidding. Where am I? Oh, Gap's down 50% after hours, 15%. Looks like the market might finally be turning. I say that, and then tomorrow I wake up and I'm fucking down 5% more. But it looks like we might actually be changing here. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. But there's this documentary on Netflix called Our Father. And it's basically, I don't want to give us, I might get into it in a different video, but go ahead and check it out. It's wild. It makes you never want to ever think about getting artificially inseminated as a woman. I'm not a woman. I'm a dude. I got a dick, so I never will. But, yeah, it's a terrifying episode. But thank you guys so much. It's been an hour. I've had a beautiful time with you guys. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from on everything. I hope you guys can accept me as a person, accept my thoughts, and know that I'm coming from a good place. And in all my podcasts, I've always come from a good place, and I speak from the heart, and I get things wrong, but that's okay. That's the beauty of me being me and us being humans. Thank you guys so much for listening to the episode. Please comment on it on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, leave it a rating. If you're on Apple, Amazon, if you're on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave it not a reply, but a review. And if you're on Amazon Music, I think you can leave reviews on Amazon Music. Let me look. The Michael Lab Show. Amazon. Yes, you can. So if you're on music, Amazon, go ahead and leave it a... I don't care. I don't want to download shit. You can't. You can follow it, though, so just follow it on there. That would help me a lot. But hey, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you guys in episode 259 of the Michael Lab Show. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. I'll catch you guys on June 8th, maybe. I don't know. Thank you, guys. Peace out. See you. Have a good day.